Good evening. It's January 7th, 2014. This is the Policy Review Committee, and we are still working on the liquor license ordinance that the Board of Selectmen has asked us to put together a draft for. So we should have the draft done this month and hand it over to the Selectmen for further review and consultation with the Town Legal Counsel. Okay, so the conversation with Jennifer today, I'm looking at the ones that we did the last time.
Yeah. Was that November?
Did I date it? It was November 19th, huh?
Oh,
boy, are we slow.
I think November 12th here.
Well, it probably hasn't changed too much. Looks like this.
Very similar.
Close enough. I just wanted to go over what we took out. I did put in a call today about whether or not the state has any input or power over what the town decides will be the processing fee. I couldn't find it anywhere online, and certainly it's not on the application for the state itself. But after talking to Jennifer, we thought it was best to ask the question so that somebody doesn't come back and say, well, that's not within the purview of what you're doing. Nobody called me back today, so stay tuned. It's probably too cold. So I wrote up some changes for further consideration, still definitely a draft stage, and didn't change too much in the first, anything really in the first paragraph. We're still saying the Board of Selectmen will issue a decision 30 days after the public hearing. Maybe I should say
public hearing.
I was just going to say public. It says hearing, but it doesn't. Go away. Get over there.
No, it says public hearing in the first line if you don't want to.
Oh, you're right. Okay. Good enough. Then on item...
So actually, you can just say within 30 days.
That's true. How observant. Done. The fewer the words, the less trouble you get into. Okay, on item number 1, we had said 45 business days. And then part of the discussion today was business days, particularly with the schedule that this town hall operates on, could be a matter of perception.
Yeah.
I mean, Monday isn't an official business day, but a lot of times the town clerk is here. I don't know what other people that work here are doing. So, given that we're allowing what we feel is a considerable length of time for the application to come in, we just decided to go with 45 days instead of business days. And then on 2, we got on to talking about the, didn't make any changes to 2. Well, the old 2. Still need a valid certificate of liability insurance. But as far as number 3, where we talked about having 2 checks, one for the state and one for the town.
Yeah.
We took out the one for the state because it doesn't have to be tendered with the application because that starts at the town. And I think Jennifer's point was, don't give the town of Acton a check that's made out to the state and then we're responsible for, you know, who's got it, where is it.
Right, and if they don't get the license.
Oh, we deposited it, you can't deposit it.
Yeah.
You know, it's just, it doesn't apply at this level of the application. So, and in talking about what the filing fee could be, for the moment, I just reworded it to say that the Board of Selectmen will determine once a year the amount of the filing fee. Now, the hope would be that you don't change this filing fee every year, but there'll be a policy written that says this is what it is, and when the time comes to change it, the policy will be rewritten so that presumably you're not doing this every year. You only do it when there's a specific need. Because the other thought is, you never know who's going to be on the Board of Selectmen.
Yeah.
And you don't want fees to change every time you have a new group of selectmen. And that discussion is what put forth the idea of calling the state just to see if they have any power over what we set for a processing fee, or filing fee, depending on what we want to call it. So there'll be more on that if they call me back. Otherwise, I don't have a problem leaving it this way or something to this effect.
I think it's fine.
You'll be glad to know I think I took out at least 2 that's along the way.
I appreciate it.
Because nobody in the town knows what that is.
I'm sure.
That's okay. Then number 4 we took out altogether because there was a conversation with Maine Municipal, and they concurred with, I guess it was our second or third thought on the matter, that you can't keep somebody from earning a living. And if you could, they're not going to be able to pay their bills. So it's counterproductive. It's discriminatory. And apparently the issue came up sometime in the past about whether somebody could run for selectmen that had this kind of a situation. And the answer to that question was, no, you can't take that into account. So we just took out number 4.
Can I ask a question now that we're... The TIPS training says that, are they going to sign some kind of affidavit or something that says all employees will be? Because this is an application to apply for something. If they're not even open, how are you going to say the training will be done within 1 month?
I know you said that a local pub in New Hampshire here has their training certificates published
Well, they're
in their restaurant.
kind of on the wall, sort of.
Yeah. But at any given day, you don't know who's an employee and
right.
who's not. I mean, you could have 10, 12 people up there, now you only have 3 staffers. But it looks good to have all those
Right.
certificates. But I was told that the TIPS training is part of code enforcement. So further on here, in my larger print,
The ones on number 4, I can see having to be something that needs to be in place before it can open, but how can you enforce number 1, or 3? How can you enforce that?
I guess we would leave it to code enforcement. It's in their purview.
But they're not going to have staff until after it's open.
Well, these are already open anyhow.
Well, any staff that you have to have them trained. And if you have seasonal staff, they come and go like the windmill goes around.
Right, but if I'm applying for a license my first
sorry.
time, I can
Keep them on your own seat.
renewals, but if I'm applying, I don't have a bar yet, and I'm applying for this liquor license, how can I do number 3?
You can't. But if you have staff...
Because you don't have any employees yet.
Right, that's what I'm
Right.
saying.
So it says within 1 month of employment. So if
Right,
you're not
but can you
employed,
get him to, is there something he will sign or verify that this is something he will do? Do you just trust him?
Well, okay. Further in the conversation today, it there was a comment that the Board of Selectmen would like to have a checklist made up from code enforcement in the fire department, and basically any other town departments that have a vested interest in the liquor license process. So, of course, I said to them, well, it can't be part of the ordinance. They said no, they wanted to serve more as an in-house checklist. Liquor license applicants would get copies, the same as anybody can have a copy of policies and, you know, that sort of thing. But it would serve as a checklist for documentation, and that way code enforcement. Stop it. Code enforcement in the fire department, ambulance, anybody you can think of that would have a published list that says these are the things that need to be done or that they will review for. And at least it's out there, because it doesn't exist in writing now, anywhere that I've seen. And checking on whether or not all the people that are currently working, as an example, had that TIPS training or not, would be one of those things on the checklist. It wouldn't be specifically detailed in the ordinance. Just
Who's getting the checklist? The applicant or the code enforcement?
code enforcement in the fire department,
No, who's getting
for
it?
two, will make up a checklist, probably with our help, and then, you can't do that.
I'm not helping.
You're just causing trouble tonight, aren't you?
And if they want a copy of it, like any other town document, you can get a copy of it. But it is
I thought
something that
this
the
was-
town will use to see that everything is in order, as it should be, with somebody that has a liquor license up for renewal or will be requesting a new one. Am I getting where you want to go?
I understand that part. I think it should be mandatory that they're given one, not that they request one. But I'm still trying to figure out how you're going to enforce that if
Unless you
it's-
go there every day and ask for
No,
an
no, no, no.
employee list in the TIPS training, you're not going to be able to enforce it.
Especially if I'm applying for a first-time liquor license.
Right.
Renewals I can understand, but a first-time liquor license, I could see putting it on the checklist. But it just doesn't seem to fit
Do you want to
me.
qualify this by saying that this applies to renewals?
No, I
But
think
it's
you should
not
apply to
just-
new ones
it's
too.
not
But
just
if you don't
renewals,
have any-
actually.
If you don't have any employees, they don't have any training.
Right, but he's already got his application, he's been approved.
No,
Okay.
not at this point.
Right, so how can you say that?
Because he's agreeing to having the training done.
Okay, you're going to verify that with a signature on something?
Only if you go there every day and check all the staff and all the.
No, I think it's one of these, you know, as people from the town drop in their official capacity, they ask to see the certificates.
I think we should get a town TIPS enforcement officer.
You like to drink?
I'll do it for half the price.
And I will be the taster of the draft beer.
Ooh, there you go.
What do you want to do?
I'll be the menu verifier, how's that? Make sure his food is cooked.
All right.
There should be. Actually, they don't
So-
have to serve food, do they?
No? I mean, I guess,
I'll be the
Currently, no.
wino then. You can drink the beer, I'll be the wino.
sommelier, isn't that the word?
Is that what it is?
All right, you're all fired.
I thought that was the guy who sat in the lobby of the hotel.
Your consigliergy guy? He can't say concierge.
Can't say that.
Well, then you can never say that, and I'm not even
No,
sure
I
I'm
can't say
pronouncing it right. Anyway, is there some way that you would like to change the wording in number 3?
Nope, I'm just evidently not looking at it the way the two of you are, and that's fine. I can just see number 4 being something that has to be in place before he can open. And I don't see how you can say, in order to get your liquor license, this has to be done, because they don't have any employees.
Well, it can't be within so much of when you open, it's within a month of when that person is on board and working.
Right.
Do you want to say subject to verification by code
Nope,
enforcement?
nope, not at all, nope. We'll leave it, evidently it's me. That's fine. I'm good.
We'll talk later.
Yeah, okay. No, I'm
When will
fine.
you tell me?
After the meeting.
He'll send you an email. She's still alive. Call tomorrow and ask to talk to me.
Let's see. Well, we'll see what the Board of Selectmen does with
Yeah,
this.
okay, no, that's fine.
And we changed the 4th one a little bit today, just to say compliance with all Acton Town ordinances, fire department and code enforcement policies and ordinances. Are we good so far? More or less?
Yep.
Okay, on, I keep looking back at the one we changed. The last draft that you had said the initial review of the application would be completed by the Board of Selectmen within 3 business days of receipt. Again, business days is sort of a fluid subject in this town. And rather than, now Jennifer looks at this differently, and that's why she pointed this out. The Board of Selectmen have scheduled meetings. If we were to stick with within 3 days or 3 business days, that would mean every time they get a liquor license application or renewal application, she would be having to call in the selectmen for a special meeting.
Yeah.
So by changing it to say at the next scheduled business meeting,
Makes a lot of sense.
seemed to make sense.
Can we change the "it's"?
I never remember
Shows-
which one's which.
That's
Apostrophe
not,
shows possession.
I want the whole, at the next meeting, or the Board of Selectmen's next meeting, but to be some.
That next meeting.
At that next meeting, yeah. It's isn't a good contract
Or grammar.
word, yeah.
Okay.
That works.
Okay. Now, I think it was Elaine that asked if the application was rejected because it's, let's just say it's incomplete, do we also give them back a portion or all of the check? Yes, we give them the whole check back, whatever they gave.
Sorry, baby.
I'd charge them extra for wasting my time.
Yeah, they should make you treasurer. We would give them back everything that they gave us in the way of attachments.
Wow.
Well, because we're not, the town isn't going out of its way, there's no special meetings, special expenses. It's going to be reviewed at the next regularly scheduled Board of Selectmen's meeting. So, a little
She'll be
goodwill
happy.
here, you know? And might I remind you that all your friends out there see you on TV.
It's must-see TV.
Must see.
Must see, yeah, okay.
Is the 2 days okay with them?
Yes, because I guess their assumption is that the applicant would want to be at this meeting.
I think so.
Maybe other people would as well. And I think by the time that meeting ends, everybody in attendance will have a pretty good sense as to whether this is going to fly or crash and burn. So. Then, in the next section on any reasons that might justify denying a license. On 2, an owner has been convicted of any Class A, B, or C crimes. And that is on the state application.
Yeah, I haven't seen that.
And I put it in here just as a way of getting it up front to everybody's attention. But in thinking about it a little bit more today, I'm wondering, now we have no control over what the state will do.
Right.
But at least within this town, do we want to quantify that by saying within the past 5 years, the past 10 years, or just don't put a time limit on it? I mean, to me, if you did something, whatever A, B, and C are, they're not good. If you did it 20 years ago, I don't know that I'd care.
If you have a felony on your record, you're not supposed to vote, right?
You asking me?
I'm not sure.
Generally speaking, I'm asking anybody that wants to.
I don't know off the
Haven't
top of my
defined
head.
I always thought you lost your right to vote if you were a felon.
While you're in jail, you don't vote. And that depends on what state you're in too.
Really?
Because even during there was some election not that long ago, and I don't know if it was a presidential or some other, and they were talking about prisoners in other states that were voting. So depending on what it is and where it is. So we can just leave it alone, or I'm just saying, does it make sense to put a time frame on it?
Well, it doesn't look like the state has any time
They don't.
thing, so even if we approve it, then the state's going to reject it, right? Let's say it was 6 years
Well-
old, and we say, okay, it's good, and the state's going to throw it out when they get it.
This doesn't actually say that they will deny the license. It says they may.
Right,
So
good point.
I take that to mean that they will look into the situation and make a decision based on that.
Might depend on what the felony is.
Sure. Killing one's husband.
Oh, that's against the law now?
This is special for you. So do you not want to?
I can go either way. I don't have any strong feelings one way or the other.
Me either.
No. You can't go either way. You have to pick.
Leave it alone. It's less work.
Well,
Let's talk about this.
do you want the town to be able to deny something to somebody that the state wouldn't?
I understand what you're saying, and that whole word "may" there is kind of,
Yeah.
the state one is kind
Gives
of.
you a lot of latitude.
Yeah. So, yeah, even if, I think it should be up to the state at that point. If it's a crime-related thing, I think it should be up to the state.
Then we can just take it out.
Yeah.
Or do you have more faith in your local government than you do in the state government?
In any government?
In
Is that
any
the set?
government, yeah.
I know what you're thinking.
Excuse me.
Put your face down and show everybody the face you just made. Do you have, that would be my only question.
I think that the state people could be more impartial than people who know each other, like people in Acton know each other.
Good point.
If you had somebody in this town that had a long history of bootlegging, would you want to give them then?
Bootlegging's the illegal whiskey, right? So they're already making illegal whiskey?
That have
Why
a
are they
track-
coming here to get a liquor license then? You really think they're gonna
You want to
do?
check?
Exactly. It's been to church.
Seen the light.
Revelations.
Why don't we just leave that
It
there?
was Epiphany, wasn't it?
Yes, ma'am.
Leave it alone. Let the Board of Selectmen kick it around.
Okay.
We've kicked it around enough. And I'm sorry I brought up the subject.
No kidding. Stir that pot.
I didn't change anything on 3. On 4, just for consistency, in the very last line, to be consistent with
Okay.
number 3, I put in owners, comma, patrons, or employees. Since an owner could be possibly guilty of breaches of disorderly conduct and breaches of the peace.
Yeah, I don't either.
I know, I just penciled it in.
Oh, okay.
It's in. You have to keep up here.
Gaslighting us.
She is.
What I didn't point out very well is owners, employees, and patrons is in the last line of 3. So to be
Yeah.
consistent, the last sentence, there has been some question as to whether this is legal.
I was just going to ask
I
that.
was,
So I say, well, I'm inclined, just my own vote here, to leave it there and let the town legal counsel say yay and nay.
just a question.
Yep.
Who takes the liquor license away, the state or us? Once it's been approved that he
Nobody.
starts violating all kinds of things.
I don't know what the law
Well-
is, and that's why the town council is going to
My
get,
feeling is that since the state issues it, the state is the one who can take it away. But
right,
like,
but
I'm
that
not-
isn't to say that the town couldn't start the ball rolling to get the state to
Right.
revoke it if they felt there was cause. So that would probably, if it's stated at all, it would likely be reworded. Not that the town would have the power that that says, but just, we could reword it now, I guess.
The additional conditions they're adding, is that just like on a whim? Or does it have to go to the election? How do you,
It's purposely vague.
okay then.
It worked.
It sure did. Okay. Can we write of the town of Acton on after welfare?
I thought about that. Sure.
I'd like to limit
After
the
this
scope
welfare?
of their general welfare, yeah.
Or do you want to say Acton residents?
Sure. That sounds good.
You like that?
They do.
All right.
So you can get rid of the public safety and general welfare and just put Acton residents?
No,
No,
to
no.
protect the public safety and general welfare of
Of
the...
Acton
Oh,
residents.
okay. Okay. I wasn't.
Which means, if you don't live here,
Turn it off.
Advice to you is move to Acton.
and if,
We roll that back?
We gotta come more often than once a month. It's getting way out of hand.
well, it's the holidays, you know? Or it was. Public safety.
Gotta be a holiday somewhere.
Okay. I will make, what are you doing?
Trying to stab my elbow.
Oh,
Let's get stuck.
Okay.
Get it.
I'll make these changes, and I will let you know if and when I get a call back from the state of Maine on that question about the filing fee. And then I say we turn it over to the Board of Selectmen and
I'm not at it.
let them. Are there any other things that have come to mind that you think we ought to include that maybe we've?
I'm not really trying to cause trouble, and I know it sounds like it is, but we haven't
But that's
addressed.
all right. We're here to cause trouble.
We haven't
As well as
addressed
swear it
the
away.
fact that they're, what they can or cannot do inside the limits of their, are you allowed to have gambling? You allowed to have little keno things? Are you allowed to have nude dancing? I mean, shouldn't somewhere in there, something along those?
In this
What are the
ordinance?
first 3 words?
Right, but if they're serving liquor, you don't want them to be able to do,
Then you want to get the gambling license ordinance ready and the
Yeah.
naked dancing license ordinance.
well, on some of the ones that we were
Right.
looking at earlier,
I
they
agree.
had a lot of those included, and I thought it was a good idea to limit the scope so somebody doesn't.
On the fee schedule, you have to put on the application which one of these licenses, specialties you're applying for.
Tennis clubs.
So, I mean, we're saying generically liquor license ordinance, or
Right.
liquor license application, but here they're very specific. You can have just a beer and wine license, or you can have full bar, but they've got specific titles for each one of those types of licenses. And I'm sure there's a set of laws that go with each one.
Is this for,
This was part of the application, so that you could fill in on the application which one of these you're applying for.
Is this
And
the
this is the
state
amount of the
thing?
Yeah.
check.
Okay.
Yeah, that's a state thing.
And this is the fee.
right. Now, you were charging, and this is, I thought was, the filing fee was a lot more than this amount of money when you were asking the last time we were here. I thought this was all they could.
See, this is the filing fee, this is the license fee.
Right,
Can't charge any of these.
right, but you were charging a lot of money or
Oh, yeah.
something.
Yeah, we were all talking about it.
I'm good at that.
Well, in talking to people here in the town hall, they were looking at what they've spent in the past, and it's not always, it's different each time, on what they had for expenses. They've run into legal fees, and they never passed that back to the applicant. Why should any resident in this town, or collectively, the members of this town, pay for a legal bill so that Joe Schmo or Shirley Jones can have a liquor license application?
She's applying for a liquor license?
She's too old to drink.
Is she alive?
I don't know.
I think so.
I hope not.
So,
Okay.
the idea at the time was that the town has not been asking enough for a processing fee to offset what they incur for expenses.
Okay.
Which is why we had added that sentence to this one, that for any legal expenses, they are totally the responsibility of the applicant.
Okay.
That way, when they determine what the processing fee is or the filing fee, hopefully it won't have to be changed very often.
Okay, that one's got OTB on it,
Off-track
betting.
betting.
That would be like the one that's down there.
Pat's
South
Pizza's
Sanford,
Pizza
yeah.
there, yeah.
Well, that's, no, down there, that's separate, right? It's a separate wing of that building.
I don't know.
And you go in a different, I don't think the doors connect.
I've never, we've only been in there once or twice and never saw any OTB going on, did we?
Yeah, we've
We were-
only been to Pat's a couple of times, but it's the Mexican place now.
Right, but
Yeah.
there's a separate set of doors from the outside. I don't think I think they're two different establishments. And I've never seen anybody walking inside from one to the other. I don't know. That's,
Can't imagine people going there and not drinking.
you're right.
Something while you watch horses run around.
How do they run around? I was afraid for my eyesight when you were doing that.
Fast horse. Okay. I was just trying to think of what kind of, the only one that says anything about gambling is there. Nobody says dancing. Or having dancing, just people going in dancing.
The band, right?
With the band.
Yes.
Or DJ.
Yeah.
Doesn't say anything about that on any of these. Oh, there's a pool hall.
That starts with P.
In charge of having a dark
Take it
pool.
back. Before I get in trouble.